Good morning, everyone. It's Lynn Dunn from Stamptastic Designs. Thanks so much for joining me today. So, today I am going to share just a couple of card ideas featuring some of the products from the Nature's Sweetness collection. So, this suite of products actually has two different bundles, two different stamp set and die sets. It has some beautiful paper and a variety of other products that you can use to create some really pretty cards. So, I'm going to show you how to make a couple of these cards. I have 6 or 8 different cards. I don't even know. I have a bunch of different cards I want to show you, but we'll start with a few of these. So the designer paper in this particular collection has, like different plant images already, like the sketches are already in the designer paper like this. And of course, then it has just general patterns that you can use in your card making. But there are also some like gold foil patterns on this designer paper. So the colors in this paper are pecan pie and pebbled path. And it's two color combinations that I wouldn't necessarily have thought to put together. So it's just very pretty. So I'm going to show you how to make some of these cards. So let me get some of this out of the way here. So we're going to start with this one. And I'm going to show you the designer paper first because this particular sheet of designer paper has these images are already in here on these little circles. It already has the little splatter. So really all you need to do is just cut out these images and just use them in your card making. And that's what I did. Let me straighten out my camera here. So I just cut this big sheet of 12 by 12 inch pattern paper. I cut them into 4 by 6 inch size. And then I figured, if I cut this all up like this, then I can just cut these pieces down and use them as I want to in my card making. So that's what I did. So this first one here is really just using that sketch that's in the designer paper. And I cut mine down to, so this is 4 inches this way, but I cut it down to, I think, about 5 inches um, because I'm going to add a little piece on the bottom. So what I did is just stamped a couple of images on here. So let me grab my ink. So I just used some pecan pie ink, and then I used some of the images from the Lovely and Sweet stamp set. So I used this little image here and this little image here just to do some stamping on there. But the other stamp set that comes in this suite is the Notes of Nature. So there's like a splatter image and some other fun little images that you can use to just kind of stamp in the background. So that's what I decided to do, just dress it up a little bit. I had to do a little bit of stamping, right? So let's ink this up and we'll just stamp this kind of up towards the top here. And then we'll just stamp the other one, this like little net image, I guess. We'll just stamp that over here and we'll do another one. So you can add as much or as little as you want. So I'm just going to add this to a piece of pecan pie cardstock. So that's what I'm using for the base of the card. And I'm just going to add some glue here. So this makes for like really quick and simple card making. And let me just, you guys can hear me okay, right? There we go. I'll just turn it up a little bit. And then I just cut a 3/4 inch wide piece. So this is one of the gold foil patterns in this designer paper. So it's 4 inches long and it's 3/4 inches wide. And I just thought that would dress it up really nicely on the bottom. So we'll just add that on the bottom. And then I really just added a little greeting. So I used the greeting from the Notes of Nature stamp set. So it's this particular greeting. And I just put it on a 2.5 inch long piece of white cardstock, just stamped it in some, uh, I want to say soft suede, but it's pecan pie ink. And this is just 3/4 inches wide. So I'm just going to pop that up on the bottom and look at how pretty this card is. And it's just very simple. Now, one of the other things in this particular suite, they have these little cork embellishments. So I just put a couple of these like right on the bottom, just to kind of serve as little buttons there. And that's really it. And then on the inside, I just did a little bit of stamping and then added some other designer paper, which coordinates, of course, with this on the inside. So it's just a really fun and pretty card. It's just so pretty. I love when you can pull together a card very quickly and it looks beautiful. All right, so I'm going to set that to the side. Then this next one that I have, I did a little bit of stamping on this one. So there's a very large image. Well, there's a couple large images in the Lovely and Sweet stamp set that you can use in your card making. And then there's a coordinating die that cuts it out. So this large die here cuts out this flower. So for this one, I just stamped it in the pecan and kind of made this a little bit monochromatic. There's some, uh, what's the other name? Pebbled Path. There's some Pebbled Path in there. So this time I thought I would switch it up a little bit and use the same layout, but just change the colors of what I'm using. So I used one of the dies from the set to create this little piece for my greeting. And then this time I thought I would use the Pebbled Path color and see how that looks. So I started out just with the pecan for the base of my card. And this is just another pattern of paper. So it has this gold foil on the back. And then it has the Pebbled Path and the pecan together. So it's a really fun little pattern. So this is just a 1.5 by 5.5 inch piece. And I'm just going to add this to our card front here. And then there's another piece of paper in here that has a lot of different writing on it. And I had been playing around with different designs. So this was a scrap piece that I had. So I'm just using up my scrap piece. I had cut this, what did I cut this at? 2 by 2.5. And I did a little paper tearing here and then a little sponging. And then I added some other little stamped images. But in the, let's see, I think it's the Notes of Nature set, there's this die, the die that creates this little notebook style design. So that's what I did on this piece of paper. I just created this little notebook style design on there. And the last card I have to show you has the same kind of design. But so what I want to do is I want to adhere this on the card. And then this is just going to kind of go on the bottom here. So let's just line this up. I like to line up my images and adhere them together a little bit. And then pop them up with dimensionals. So I'm going to put some dimensionals on this. But this particular suite of products is like, I guess right up my alley because I love the colors. I love the browns in particular. And I just love how, you can make this, kind of give it a vintage style and create some really beautiful cards. So let's add this. Whoop. All right, so this is just going to go on like this. And then I'm just going to add my little greeting right here. So it's the it's basically the same layout. I just kind of switched around the colors a little bit. So that's kind of the fun thing about this little suite. Oops. We'll just pop that up right like that. And then you can add the little cork pieces. We'll add a couple of these. And it's really nice that you can just peel these off and stick them on. And that is what the card looks like. And then you can add some, linen thread. I tied some linen thread all the way around the card front twice, and then just added a little bit of designer paper on the inside. So just a very pretty card, very simple. All right, let's move this out of the way. And then this last one that I have, I'm going to just bring it out here. The last one I'll kind of walk you through. This one was actually inspired by a swap that I received. So this is a swap that I received from Carrie McDonough, I think is her name. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. But she sent me this little swap, and I thought, oh, that's really pretty. And then let's see if I can make it in the pebbled path. So mine may not be as pretty as hers, but it's, I thought I wanted to do it a little bit different. So for this one, what I started with is a piece of designer paper that is 3.5 by 5.25 inches. So this is that paper that I used on this card. So it's the same paper that I used to create this little piece here. But I just made a bigger piece. And what I'm going to do is do a little bit of stamping on this. So I'm just going to bring in some scrap paper here. And we'll stamp that same kind of little images here. So I'll just stamp this towards the top, and then we'll add one on the bottom. We can even probably scoot some over here. You can add as many as you want. So that's just in the pebbled path. And then I'm going to use the pecan and add some of these little images here, this kind of little grid image. We'll just add it all around. And let's see, we'll put one over here this time. And then basically what I did is I just tore the edge of this. So I just want to create a torn edge. So it kind of looks worn. And then we'll save this piece because we can use this on the inside of the card. And then I have my little sponge here, and I just took some ink and just kind of went along and just sponged that torn area just so that it kind of stood out a little bit more and kind of gives it that worn or vintage style look. And since we got the ink out, let's go ahead and stamp our little greeting here. I grab that. So we'll just add a little congratulations. So I just have a 1/2 inch wide piece of white cardstock, and we'll just stamp this on there. Oops, I think I'm a little crooked, but that's okay. Let's get that out of the way. All right, so let's set these pieces to the side for the moment, and we'll assemble our card. So this time I decided to use some pebbled path cardstock for the base of the card. And then I used one of the pebbled path designer series papers that has that gold writing in it. So you can see the shiny gold writing. This is the back. And so this is just a 4 by 5.25 inch piece. And this I'm just going to add right to the card front. That'll be our background. And then I'm just going to take this piece and just adhere it over the top so that a little bit is showing on that side. So we'll put this on. And then we're going to add our focal point and our greeting. So this particular focal point, I actually cut from the designer paper. So you can see this is the pattern on the back. So I already have it popped up with dimensionals. I cut it out with the scissors. So the die in the set um, cuts out the stamped image, but does not cut this one out just because this one's a little bit smaller. So we'll just pop this up right here. And then we'll take our little greeting and we will trim it down. So I'm a little crooked with my greeting, but that's all right. So we'll trim it down a little bit and we'll trim it down on this side. And then we can just pop this up right here on the bottom. So just kind of a fun way to use, the different images in this designer paper and the different images in the bundle itself. So we'll add this right along here. And that is our congratulations. And then we'll just add one of those little cork rounds right there. And that's really the basic design. And then you can add, again, some linen thread I tied around. And I used that torn piece. So this piece that I tore off the front, I used that and just adhered it on the inside of the card. Because that way then we can use up our scraps right away. So, all right. So that is the third card that I just kind of wanted to walk you through. Let me get these over here. So these are the first three cards. Kind of fun. And then actually, before I bring out all the other cards, I want to show you some of the other cards here. Let's see. So I was playing around with some of the scraps that I had left, and I just wanted to use up these little scrap pieces just to kind of highlight my greeting. A lot of times I will take those little scraps and put my greeting, put the scraps behind my greeting just to kind of accent the greeting. So that's kind of what I did here. And this particular image, I actually cut from the designer paper. So you can see it has that gold foil on it. But these are very simple layouts and a great way to use up little scrap pieces of paper. And you might notice in the background here all the stamping. That all of this back here on the cardstock is stamping. So I just wanted to show you that because one of the fun things about this particular bundle is all the images. I love all those like vintage images. So I'm going to show you how I stamped some of these. Because when you stamp these images, they're, pretty forgiving. So I'm just going to use some Pebbled Path cardstock and just some of the various images from the set, or from the two sets, I should say. So you just kind of stamp all around. So I added some dots up here, and I added this little grid. Stamp the grid. We'll just stamp it all over. So you can see how you can make just some fun little designs with these different images. So you can cover the whole cardstock base, or you can just cover a little bit of the area like I did here. And then I took one of those sketches from the designer paper, and I cut it down to 3 by 4, and I put that right here, and then just added a little greeting. So it's just really kind of a neat way to use those images along with the designer paper. Here I did something very similar, except for I didn't go all the way across the card. I added some designer paper down the side here and just created this little focal point. And then this one I did in the pecan. Same thing, I used that little image over there and just created a little focal point with the designer paper. So just kind of some fun ways to um, use this set. I had a lot of fun with this particular set. So I'm going to bring all these cards out. I have 6 different cards. So I showed you the 3 that I walked you through. And then the other 3 that I kind of used up scraps. I'll get all these out on the blog for you. And then this other card, I don't know if you saw my Wednesday video, but I did a little video on Wednesday about how to cut up an entire sheet of 12 by 12 inch paper. So I used this particular design from the Nature's Sweetness Designer Series paper. And I cut up my paper so that I could make 8 cards, and they all look the same. They're all just like this. So you cut this piece. This is a 3 by 5.5 inch piece. And then I used up this little 1/2 inch scrap here too. So if you haven't seen that One Sheet Wonder, I did link to it in the description below this video so that you can go watch that if you wanted to. You don't have to use the same paper that I'm using. You can use any designer paper with that One Sheet Wonder template that I put out on my blog. So, all right, you guys. So that's what I wanted to share with you. I hope you enjoyed these card ideas. I had a lot of fun with this set. I'm sure I'll be using this set again because I just love all the kind of vintage style um, images in the set. So, and the paper, of course. I always love my designer paper. So be sure to check out the link, which I included in the description with this video if you want to see that One Sheet Wonder template. And I think that's all I have for you today. So I hope you guys have a good rest of your day and a great week. I will see you guys again next week. So take care, everybody.